Before we dive into today's episode, a quick update if bloating has been something you have been struggling with. Enrollment is officially open for the Bloat-Free Method, my 6-week group coaching program designed to help reduce bloating without restriction, food fear, or overthinking every single meal. This program focuses on the daily habits that actually support digestion, so bloating becomes calmer and more predictable over time. There are only 12 spots total available, and once they're filled, enrollment will close. If this feels like the support you've been looking for, you can learn more and enroll now by clicking the link in the show notes. Now, let's get into today's episode.
Are you tired of feeling like your stomach has its own agenda? Like the bloating, gas, or constant trips to the bathroom are running your life? Welcome to the Beyond Bloated podcast, the podcast where we tackle those frustrating gut issues head on, without strict diets or giving up your favorite foods. I'm Carly, a certified gut health coach who's been there, struggling with bloating that made me look 6 months pregnant, gut pain that kept me from enjoying meals, and fatigue so draining it felt impossible to get through the day. Now, I help women like you find freedom from those symptoms and take back control of their lives. Each week, we'll debunk gut health myths, dive into simple, actionable tips, and hear stories from women who've been exactly where you are. It's time to feel confident, energized, and bloat-free. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Beyond Bloated podcast, or welcome for the very first time. Today's episode is one Carly from 8 years ago really could have benefited from hearing. Back in the day, I had zero clue how to cook. It seemed way too time-consuming, complicated, and expensive, so I just ate ultra-processed garbage that came directly from a box. After my body had enough of that and started screaming at me to change my ways, I went way too far in the opposite direction. Restrictive diets, expensive supplement protocols, and an extremely unhealthy all-or-nothing mindset. It was when I finally found the happy middle that my IBS symptoms disappeared. My energy levels went way up, and I ultimately started feeling the best that I ever had in my whole entire life. Today's guest is going to help us find that happy middle in the most simple, intelligently lazy way possible. Margo Flanagan is one of the sisters behind Two Raw Sisters, a movement that's grown from bestselling cookbooks into an internationally recognized app and global wellness community. What I personally love about their approach is that they do not preach perfection. Their philosophy is all about being intelligently lazy, keeping healthy eating simple, affordable, and enjoyable, which is exactly what we all need more of, including myself from back in the day. In this conversation, we dive into building a healthy relationship with food, how to make wellness feel easy instead of overwhelming, and why simple, everyday habits are what truly support your energy and long-term health. So without further ado, let's give a big, warm welcome to Margo Flanagan. Thank you so much for joining us on the Beyond Bloated podcast today.
Oh, thank you for having me. We need like a sound effect clapping. Welcome to the stage.
Thank you for joining. As always, I love to give the guest the spotlight here. And if you could start us off by telling us a bit about your own journey and what brought you to developing Two Raw Sisters.
Yeah, for sure. So I co-founded Two Raw Sisters with my sister, Rosa. A lot of people ask us, how the hell do you work as sisters? We're 6 years into the business and we're all good. So we're thriving, working together. But Two Raw Sisters came about from both of our health journeys. So we've both got quite different health journeys. Rosa was an elite athlete for New Zealand for 8 years, and she had a pretty severe eating disorder and a training obsession, known as RED-S. Not sure if you're familiar with that, but it stands for Relative Energy Deficiency in Sport. So pretty much you're not fueling your body enough with the amount of energy that it's expending in exercise. Very, very common and undiagnosed in females. And then I have chronic fatigue and endometriosis, and I got diagnosed with that when I was 16. I was never into food. I was always into fashion and photography and design. But I think when I got diagnosed with chronic fatigue, I was bedridden for 2 years. So I would walk 50 meters and be absolutely wiped out for the rest of the day. And I had 5 years of health professionals pretty much telling me there was nothing I could do. It was just a rest and get over it situation. And Rosa and I went over to LA to do a cooking kind of class, I would maybe call it. had just finished school and Rose was over there competing. So we were like, let's go, let's do it. We're young and free and let's, And I met this lady over there and she said, have you ever focused on gut health? And very much a buzzword now, but wasn't so much kind of 6-7 years ago. And I pretty much did a big gut reset, which we can talk about later. And within 3 months, my chronic fatigue had pretty much disappeared, which was totally mind-blowing for me after it being a pretty crippling chronic illness to have for the past 5 years. And that was, Rosa had also got better at that stage and we were both hit rock bottom together. And that's when we thought, let's create a business out of it, because so many people overcomplicate wellness, and it is such an overcomplicated, overwhelming topic that is so confusing, and people just get so overwhelmed and they don't know where to start. So at Two Raw Sisters, we simplify wellness in an intelligently lazy way through our cookbooks, our app, our podcast, and we do in-person cooking workshops as well.
That's amazing. Well, good for you. I'm so glad you're both feeling better. And you're so right about like what Rosa went through, underfueling your body when you're expending too much energy. And I see it daily with women who are not athletes. I see it in women who are just your average hardworking woman, but they're not excessively training and they're still underfueling their body. So massive topic right there alone. And then endometriosis, another one. My mom has endometriosis and it took her, I don't know, until her like mid 40s to figure out that's what was going on with her. So yeah, you two both have crazy backgrounds, health stories. And I'm, again, truly so happy that you have figured out what works for you. And now you're helping others do the same, which I love. So could you share a little bit more about what you did do to improve your gut health to get your energy back?
For sure. Going back to the underfueling thing, it's interesting as we kind of talk to more and more health professionals, and we're in this world of convenience and ultra processed foods and things like that. And at Two Raw Sisters, Rosa and I, we're not vegan or vegetarian ourselves. We do eat meat and we don't follow diets. We're all about everything in moderation. So enjoy the croissant or the ice cream when you want to enjoy it. But when it comes to good gut health, and I think what really helped us both reach our optimal level of wellness was people just aren't eating enough of the good stuff. And we're reaching for the supplements that we might think are the silver bullet to wellness. If I buy this, I'm going to feel amazing. And I'm just speaking about the average everyday person here. Everyone is obviously completely different. And if your health professional is giving you supplements for a reason, then absolutely take that. That's what your health professional has given you. But for the average everyday person who doesn't necessarily have anything wrong with them, we think supplements are the answer, but actually we always look at a meal and we think, what can I take out to reduce the calorie intake? Oh, I'm not going to add the drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. Or I'm not going to add the nuts and seeds because they're too high in calories. Whereas flipping that mindset and thinking, I am going to add that because that's really good in healthy fats, and that's going to make my hair glow. That's going to make my nails really strong. It's going to make my skin nourished. So looking at food as the supplement and as the nutrient. And yeah, as I said, I just don't think we're eating enough of the good stuff. So I would say 100%. that is what got us better. It wasn't expensive supplements and specialists. It was just eating everyday ingredients that you have at home, but in a higher quantity.
It's so true. And I went through something similar where I developed gut issues because I had an atrocious lifestyle back in the day. I was drinking too much, eating all the ultra processed foods, wasn't moving my body. I was just a hot mess.
We've all been there.
And sometimes, unfortunately, it takes hitting rock bottom before you can realize, okay, I need to get my shit together. So I realized I need to get my shit together. And instead of doing what you just said, adding in more nutritious foods and nourishing my body, I went the strict protocol, elimination diets. I did the $1 million in supplements, like, oh my God, ridiculous. And it didn't work. And it finally clicked with me after years of doing this to be like, what are you doing, girl? You're doing the same thing over and over again. You're eliminating more and more foods. I was losing weight. I didn't have weight to lose. And eventually, yeah, I realized, okay, reverse. Let's start adding in more foods. Let's start nourishing my body. Let's stop taking all the supplements. And that truly is what worked. That is what reversed all of my issues. So I'm really glad that we're on the same page. You have the same approach and it worked for you and Rosa. And I know you like to talk about making it simple. So can you give examples of like what you and Rosa do in your day-to-day life, or some simple meal ideas, things that you guys do to truly keep it simple?
Yeah, I think that is the key, is keeping it simple. We always say keep it simple, stupid. A lot of people, they think when it comes to well-being, it's all or nothing. They've got to go all in, otherwise what's the point? Whereas I kind of disagree with that, because it's about meeting you where you're at in your life. And a lot of us, as I said earlier, we're so overwhelmed that we just don't know where to start. And when we see things on social media, we think, oh my God, I've got to go to the gym 5 days a week. I've got to meal prep breakfast, lunch and dinner. I've got to do all these things whilst working full-time jobs, having families. You know, life is pretty stressful, and that's just adding that extra stress. You're not going to notice anything. You're probably going to be even more stressed because you're restricting food intake, so you've got less energy. So we always say just start with one thing and really nail that. For us, breakfast is a non-negotiable. So if we're talking about Tyrrell Sisters' way of being intelligently lazy, let's make the most of the time we have on a Sunday. I love my 45 minutes where I prep my lunch and my breakfast for the week. That's a non-negotiable for me. But if 45 minutes, you don't have 45 minutes on a Sunday, that's okay. We can just start with breakfast. Breakfast takes 10 minutes. All we need to do is chuck everything in a bowl, mix it together, airtight container, in the fridge, done. Takes the same amount of time to make 1 times the recipe as it does to make 2, 3, 4, 5 times the recipe. So capitalize on the time that you're having, make it like prepping. So make 5 times the recipe, so you've got breakfast from Monday through to Friday and you don't have to think about it again. It's all about eliminating that decision fatigue. So let's organize ourselves so that we don't have to think about it again, because how often do we ask that question, what's for dinner, all the time, or what's for lunch all the time, and you feel like subconsciously you're always thinking about it. If you don't know where to start, I would start with breakfast, or if that is even too much for you, just start with like a teaspoon of honey or something like that. Honey is such an underrated superfood that a lot of us probably have in our cupboards already, Manuka honey specifically, but that's like my go-to thing. If I've got a crazy day where I'm going out for lunch, going out for dinner, and I know that maybe I'm not eating the most nutrient-dense food, but that's okay because that's part of my day-to-day, I would just have a good teaspoon of Manuka honey. I know I'm getting my immune boosting benefits. I know I'm getting all my antibacterial, anti-inflammatory nutrients. So just little things like that, stepping right back to basics and looking at what you have in your pantry from a whole food level and going from there.
Yeah, that's honestly perfect. And I like that approach too. That's kind of what I do. I don't make every single meal from scratch. People assume because we're in the wellness industry that we love cooking and we love being in the kitchen at all times and we just want to make all of our meals. I personally do not like to cook. I don't.
Yeah.
I like to eat. I like to feel good. So I do cook, but I keep it very simple. I'm very minimal, and I will eat the same thing 3-4 days in a row for breakfast because I don't care. That makes it simple for me.
Yeah.
Do you have any examples, maybe recipes from your app or anything that is one of your go-tos, like your favorite breakfast or lunch that you make in advance?
My go-to breakfast when I just really don't have time on a Sunday, but I know it's 9:30 at night and I'm like, shit, I haven't prepped my breakfast, but Just do it because you'll thank yourself later. So this serves one, but I'll make 5 times the recipe. So I'll do like half cup of rolled oats, a couple of tablespoons of chia seeds, a couple of tablespoons of hemp seeds, Greek yogurt, peanut butter, a mashed banana, and a little bit of milk, and just mix that together. And that's my overnight oats done. But yeah, as I said, I'd times that recipe by 5 so that I've got it for the whole week and I don't have to think about it again. If you're someone who doesn't like eating the same thing every day, a really good tip is that like make enough for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then on Wednesday, make another flavor. And you can easily change up the flavor. A big part of Two Real Sisters is inspiring and showing you guys how to use a recipe as a guideline. So using what you have at home. So with that recipe, I could swap out the banana for a grated apple and I could add some cinnamon and ginger in there. And then I've got a completely different overnight oats flavor simply just by using what I have at home and swapping ingredients in and out. So starting to build that confidence in the kitchen to use what you have at home, that's going to save you time. So you don't have to go to the supermarket. It's going to save you stress because you're not overthinking it, and it's going to save you money because you're using ingredients that you've already got.
Overnight oats are one of my favorites. I love oats for breakfast. I've actually done an episode on the podcast about oats because they kind of got a bad rap for a while there. People thinking oats were the devil in disguise and were going to come for you.
If you're gluten-free, raw buckwheat groats are a really great option or a really great substitute for rolled oats. So just do half a cup of buckwheat groats, soak them in boiling water for 5 to 10 minutes, and then rinse and drain until the water runs clear, and then just use them as overnight oats. So that's a great substitute.
Perfect. And it's the same concept. You know, you make your breakfast in advance, still all the same flavors, and it's delicious. And you also mentioned cost effectiveness, because it is very common for people to believe eating healthy is going to cost you a fortune. Now, I used to think that back in the day. I have since changed my mindset. But what would you say to people who believe they cannot afford to eat healthy because it truly is too expensive for them?
I think a lot of this is marketing. And we have to remember that the wellness industry is built off like billions and billions of dollars, and they're going to sell you stuff. And what we really focus on at Two Real Sisters is going back to the ingredients that you've probably got in your pantry or you think are quite boring ingredients. You know, if we're looking at dried coconut, rolled oats, pumpkin seeds, potatoes, broccoli, carrots, brown rice, you know, all these ingredients that you're probably very familiar with, but you just don't feel like you know how to cook them in a delicious way. We always say start with your plants first, and this is where swapping ingredients plays a huge role in the cost-effective side of things. So say I want to make this roast veggie salad that's got pumpkin, eggplant or aubergine and carrots in it. And a lot of people would go to the supermarket and buy those 3 specific ingredients. But what we really encourage you to do is go to your produce store and buy what's cheap. So have fun with it. Look at what's on special. It might be potatoes are on special. It might be sweet potatoes on special, broccoli and Brussels sprouts. So you would buy those things. You'd probably save half the money than if you would buying the aubergine and the pumpkin. And then you come home and you just swap those vegetables for what the recipe says. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's a really great way to save money. Go to the produce store, buy what's cheap, come home and then swap. Same with grains and nuts and seeds. If a recipe calls for brown rice and we don't have brown rice, but we've got 5 other grains at home, who then goes to the supermarket to buy brown rice? Guilty. Definitely guilty. So rather than doing that, let's just use what we have in the pantry. And then again, we're saving ourselves time from going to the supermarket and money. So it's starting to kind of get these thoughts in our heads that we don't have to follow a recipe step by step. We can swap and substitute and use what we have at home to make food so much more cost effective. And it's interesting, just that simple swap. Like we have so many app users who say, I cannot believe it, but I have literally halved my grocery bill just by swapping and using what I have at home. Because normally I have so much food waste at the end of the week because I don't know what to do with this leftover produce.
Okay, pause for a second. Have you taken my bloat personality quiz yet? It's totally free and honestly, freakishly accurate. This quick 2-minute quiz will help you figure out exactly which habits and patterns are behind your bloating, the ones no one ever talks about, and it gives you personalized, simple steps you can start using today to feel less bloated and more comfortable in your jeans. If you've ever wondered, why am I always bloated, even when I eat healthy, this quiz is your first clue. Head to beyondbloated.com/bloat-personality-quiz, or the link is in the show notes. Take the quiz and then send me your result. I love seeing which bloat personality everyone gets. Now, let's get back to the show.
Yeah, and I'm guilty of that. I have produce in my fridge right now that my friend bought because she was visiting, and she's like, I'm going to make this one specific meal. And she bought herbs and things that I wouldn't buy. And she made the meal, and now there's leftover. And I'm like, what the hell am I going to do with this massive thing of chives? I don't even know how to cook with chives. So yes.
Yeah. So we've created in our app tools to help you get inspiration for that. So in the search bar, you can just type in what you have in the fridge, and then all the recipes will come up. And we've got our we call it simple swaps and additions, to give you inspiration on what you can swap with to use what you have at home. So I think that is such a game changer with making food more cost effective and more enjoyable.
Perfect. Yeah, that would be very helpful for me right now. And also buying in season too is helpful, right? Like what's in season is going to be cheaper often because, supply and demand, we've got an abundance of this fruit or vegetable because it is this time for it to grow. So going to your local farmer's market, seeing what's available because the farmers are growing what is in season.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you guys are so lucky in Canada and kind of where you are based in the world because you have got access to great produce all year round. Whereas for us in New Zealand, it's like very seasonal, and a lot of the stuff in winter is imported. So yeah, exactly what you just said, going to the farmer's market. What I actually do, let's go into my life for a second, on a Saturday before I plan my week's meals, and before I go any further as well, I think we always think food can be such a drag, whereas actually making it a fun experience and make it a thing that you actually look forward to rather than a drag, because we never want to do something that we don't want to do. But if you can make it fun, like take yourself out for a coffee and plan your week or do something that makes you feel good. But on a Saturday, I will always go to the farmer's market, and again, I'll just buy what's cheap, and then I'll come home. And on a Sunday, I'll sit down with a coffee in the morning in the sun, and I'll plan out my week with the produce that I got. So thinking produce first rather than recipe first.
That's awesome. Because like you said, your app, you can search. So if you got what was in season, what was on sale, it's like, okay, what can I make with these Brussels sprouts? And boom, I'm sure you have plenty of options in there. So
lots.
I guess this is a perfect segue into asking you, could you tell us a little bit more about the app, where we can find it, how we could utilize it, all the deets?
All the deets, yeah. So our app, I use it every day. Which I always feel like so weird saying because I genuinely just love my product. It's just so helpful with inspiration because I'm time poor. A lot of people think I'm in the kitchen every day with my job, but actually a lot of my job is in front of a computer. I do a lot of the app product management, so I'm more tech side of things. So I'm really time poor, and sometimes I hate just deciding what to cook, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. We're busy, but we still want to eat well. So that's kind of why we created the app for these people to, as we've talked about, type in what you have and recipes will come up. So that's kind of the decision made for you. And then having the confidence and the education to start swapping ingredients in and out will just make your nighttime cooking or meal prep so much more enjoyable. We've got quite a sophisticated search function on there. So you can filter, I've got pumpkin, I want a salad and I want it to be a work lunch. Or we do a lot around women's health because I think that is huge. Understanding the female body, especially Rosa with her eating disorder. She didn't get her period till she was 22. And me with my endometriosis, we deal a lot with menopausal women. So what we've done is we've actually created a tag for each phase of the female cycle. We've got a pregnancy tag, a postpartum tag, and a menopause tag. So you can tap any of those tags, and we've filtered recipes that support your hormones during that particular phase of your life or your cycle. So you can be sure that you're getting the right nutrients during that particular phase, which can be really helpful and just removes that overwhelm. There's 4 recipes that get added every week. There's so much variety on there. Far out. We've got like over 700 recipes now, and there's so many amazing ones to come. Yeah, I just love the app. I find it so helpful at being in my pocket. And anytime, if I'm bored at work, I'll just scroll through recipes and see what I want to make.
That is fun. And honestly, I feel like a lot of times we get stuck. I know with my clients, they say that all the time. They're like, I need more variety in my diet. I'm now understanding how to fuel my body and how to eat well, but I have these 3 meals that I make on repeat and I don't know what else to eat. I'm bored of it. And then you kind of fall off because you're like, I don't want to eat this anymore. So then you go get takeout and then it kind of spirals from there. So it sounds like it's a great way to also diversify, even if it's picking one new recipe every 2 weeks to try or whatever fits your life, because you get bored. Like I get bored of my meals. Do you find like you eat different meals weekly? Do you kind of stick to the same thing, or what's your vibe?
It depends what time of my cycle I'm in. Sometimes I'm feeling creative. Sometimes I just want to go to my go-tos. For me, like I'll always buy, if I'm going to the produce store, rather than buying like half a cabbage, I'll buy a whole cabbage. And then I get home and I'm like, oh my God, this is so much cabbage. What am I going to do with this all? And that's where, I find the search bar so helpful, because there are so many easy ways, different ways on how to use cabbage that are using similar ingredients that I already have. So I know I can kind of, because I'm not going to the supermarket after work every day, I can spend that extra kind of 20 minutes in the kitchen, which I like. And I always make enough dinner for lunch the next day. And that's a really intelligently lazy way to be organized as well. I definitely have my favorites, but I try and encourage myself to try different things, because I feel really great when I make something new, and I make something that, sometimes when you just, when you're making the same thing, it's just quite unmotivating. Whereas you just feel like a sense of pride and a sense of achievement when you sit down and eat a delicious meal.
And it's exciting. It's like, oh, new meal to try.
Yeah.
That's fun.
And I think it's like the app is so much more than just recipes. Like Two Raw Sisters as a brand, we're trying to educate you guys on how you can create these sustainable habits that you can maintain. And as I was saying right at the very start, it's just about starting small and feeling that sense of achievement and noticing the difference. I am actually starting to feel better, and I can do this every week, and it is achievable, and I'm actually really enjoying it. And once you start to get that feel, it's so addictive. Like so many of us are used to feeling so average, like we're stressed, we're not eating well, work is crazy, we feel like we've got no time to ourselves. So when we can kind of do something for ourselves like that and put ourselves first and feel like we're really nourishing our bodies, then I feel like that just makes such a difference in how we feel overall. If we're fueling our body with highly processed food, how do we expect to focus at work or to want to go out and move our bodies? And I just feel like food is such an umbrella that is underlooked, and it can be as simple as incorporating one more like plant-focused meal in your day or in your week.
It truly is. And that diversity too is important, right? Like feeding your gut bacteria. They love different plant sources. So
Mm-hmm.
having that variety in your meals, just adding more fruits, veggies, whole grains, herbs, spices, whatever it is going to benefit you. So even if it's just adding one extra thing per week until you build it
Mm-hmm.
up, whatever works for you. But yes,
Mm.
it is that sense of achievement and you will start to feel better. Absolutely.
Mm.
So
And I
I
think it's
agree.
taking that long-term approach. We're always looking for the short-term fix, but I think long-term wellness, it's not short-term. Like, it does take time, but over that time period, you notice, a totally different person. I think that is just like such a game changer when you stop comparing yourself to others. You stop jumping on trendy diet bandwagons and doing all of that stuff that might not actually be working for you. It might be doing a disservice to you. When you start actually listening to your body, it's just like an epiphany of so many things,
Truly.
And it's like you've already got yourself. You don't need to go and buy all these extra things. And that's what I love about what we do. It's that you can go and do it like right now. You can go and make that change right now. And I'm not telling you to spend $80 on a supplement. You can go and make overnight oats and have it now. And you're instantly doing yourself a benefit.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I love what you guys do too. I wish I had found you back at the start of my journey. I would have saved myself a lot of time and money, but you live and you learn, and we're here
Oh,
now
you live and you
helping
learn,
others.
don't you? Yeah, no, we'll definitely have to get you on the app, and you can start making some recipes and tell everyone
Yeah,
how delicious they are.
I need some inspiration in my life because I am notorious for, all right, I'm just going to cook a protein, I'm going to cook a
Yeah,
quinoa, and I'm going to cook a veggie, and that's my meal for the next 8 days.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I need variety. I'm definitely going to check out the app. And could you let us know more about where we can find you, Rosa, two Raw sisters?
Yeah, if you want to check out the app, we've got a free 7-day trial on there. So you can find the app on the App Store or Google Play, dependent on your device. Two Real Sisters podcast. We talk a lot of shit on that podcast, but it's a great listen if you want a relatable episode to listen to. Definitely go and check that out. It's just Two Real Sisters. And then go and follow us on social media, where our handle is at Two Real Sisters on all platforms. And yeah, share the NZ love to your Canadian or US pals.
Thank you so much, Margo. This has been awesome. This was my first time speaking to someone in New Zealand. So
Oh
thank you
wow.
for that.
I hope my accent hasn't annoyed anyone. I always find I'm like so monotone compared to a Canadian accent.
Really? I am a
Yeah.
monotone person. I am not an emotional, high energy girl. That is not my vibe. I've enjoyed our conversation a lot, and I
Me
appreciate
too.
you sharing all of your insight. And I will link all that information so everyone can find you, Rosa, your app, your podcast, all the things, because what you're doing is amazing. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And if you guys also want to get my favorite health food, Manuka honey, we've also got a discount code that you can also pop in the show notes below. It's a New Zealand Manuka honey, and have a teaspoon every day. Just start incorporating that into your everyday life. And I also use it as a face mask. Really good for if you struggle with acne or you've got breakouts. Do a Manuka honey face mask. Have a bath. Enjoy yourself.
You just put the Manuka honey on your face?
Put the Manuka honey on your face. And this is what's so great about Whole Foods. You can add it to your breakfast, you can add it to your smoothie, you can add it to your roast veggies, and you can put it on your face.
You can slap it on your face.
And have a lick.
Yeah, why not? And you'll just be a little sticky and then you'll have beautiful skin. I love it.
Exactly. So yeah, there's a discount code that we can pop in the show notes for that too.
Perfect. Thank you. I know Manuka honey is a superfood. So I'm down for a discount code because it's quite pricey over here. I don't know what your prices are over there, where it's from, but a discount is always welcome. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much.
All right. We'll talk soon. Bye, Margo.
Bye.
Did you learn something new and useful today? If the answer is a big, resounding hell yeah, do me a favor. Subscribe to this podcast. Even better, toss a rating in there too. It helps more bloated babes discover this show and lets me keep bringing you this free, gut-loving content every single week. And hey, don't be greedy. Share this episode with your bestie who's always unbuttoning her pants after dinner. She will love you even more for it. Thanks for hanging out with me and showing your gut some love. Keep on putting what you learn into practice and you will be bloat-free in no time. Catch you in the next one. Bye.